Yo, what's up guys, my name is Severman and welcome back to another video on my channel. I've not posted in quite a while now. I think it's the first video I'm recording in almost 2 months actually, which is kind of crazy. So if you're wondering where I've been, I've just been on vacation to be honest. Last month I was in Croatia, then at the beginning of this month I was in Denmark, and last week I was on Mallorca, but I'm now back in the studio finally, recording some new videos, working on a lot of new music here. And for today's video I thought I'd show you how I made my track called Lost Diamond, which already dropped almost 2 months ago. And this one was also the first official release of my very own record label called Backlit Music, in case you didn't know. So if you haven't subscribed to the Backlit Music channel yet, make sure to head over. I'll link it in the description. Also check out the other socials of the label if you want to follow it. If you want to send your demo, make sure to send it to demo@backlit-music.com. But let's get right into the video. So yeah, today I will show you how I made my track Lost Diamond, which starts like this. Yeah, the way I'm starting this track is I have my almost signature claps at the start of the track, which sound like this. And then I have a bunch of other effect sounds. So for instance, I have this cashmere impact, another downlifter here. Then some more impact crash sounds. So these help to really make that transition into the track or into the start of the break really smooth. Then I have this ARP right here, which adds some like melodic sound to the break or to the start. I think this one's from Spire. Yeah, it's the +1 plug from Spire. And I have a low pass filter automation on this one in order to add movement to the break, because once I add in the vocal chops, I wanted to make sure that I have more space to those. So I close down the filter and then later on I'm opening it up again towards the drop. Then I have some vinyl noise that I like to have in the background of my breaks. Then we have this cashmere ambient sound, which is kind of overused, but yeah, whatever. Just have like a filter on here as well to like get rid of the highs here, and also a compressor to like get rid of a bit of that dynamic range, because as you can see in the sample, it's not quite on like one volume, so I kind of, you know, compress it a bit. Then we got this music core Lost Ambience vocal sound that I also like to use in a lot of my tracks. Yeah, and the filter is also affecting this sound right here, so it's also being sort of filtered out a bit. And then we have these chords. So these chords, there's pretty much just a saw wave I made inside one, and that's pretty much it. It's literally just like the init preset with the chords that I came up with here. So this is what sort of the MIDI looks like if you're interested in that. So that's it with the first 8 bars of the break. Then later on I'm adding the vocal chops. If you want to know how I did these, I've already done a video showing this, so I will link it somewhere up here in the corner. So if you want to check out how I did those, make sure to check out that video. And then besides the vocal chops, I'm adding the drop bass line already, which is this gated bass line. So yeah, this is the drop bass. So this is actually the drop bass line. So I will show you how I made this one when we're at the drop. And then in the background, I'm also introducing the melody already, the leads, the drop leads. As you can tell, they're like super far away right now, and that's what I wanted to have here. Really far in the background, creating all of that depth in the break with quite some reverb on in order to really push those into the background, because here the vocal chops are the main element. So how did I put the leads here so much in the background? First of all, I have the low pass filter on, which is this automation clip right here. And then I have basically volume automation as well, to just lower the volume. And then for the reverb, I basically just have the wet signal, yeah, pretty loud. And then the dry signals actually are reduced. So on the drop, the dry signal will be 100% up and the wet signal will be actually reduced. So that's how I create this really far away type of sound here. So I will also show you how I made the leads when we're talking about the drop. And then I'm also introducing this sound here from the drop. This girl voice type of sound that I like to use in all my tracks. And then we're dropping into the build up, where we're adding a lot of stuff. So let's check this out. So first of all, we're adding a lot of like snare sounds and stuff. So that's what you have in like every progressive track, on pretty much every EDM track. The snare rolls to really build up that tension. Then we have some risers, uplifters, also to build up that tension. Then we have some more, like, this is like an orchestral crash. We got some snares right before the drop. Okay, I actually muted 3 of those and I just used this one. We have this tom sound, or tom fill as well. Then the effect sounds that I already showed at the beginning. Then again the ARP, I'm opening up the filter here. Then what I'm doing with the vocal chops is I'm actually fading those out because we don't have them on the drop. So I kind of needed to make sure that I'm actually fading them out, because if I had kept them in just like normally without any automation, then just drop them out right before the drop, it would have been a bit abrupt, I guess. So in order to really make that transition smooth, what I did was I faded out the vocal chops. And while I'm doing that was I'm fading in the drop leads. So because I wanted to make sure that the drop leads are taken over, and then I'm pushing away the vocal chops, because obviously on the drop we have the drop leads and no vocal chops. So how I'm fading out the vocal chops is using this dry level automation. So I'm basically reducing the dry level, which again really pushes the vocal chops into the background, kind of how I did with the leads already in the break, just like reverse now. So I'm actually reducing the dry level here. And then I'm also having a low pass filter to fade them out. And as I said, sort of in a reverse way, I'm introducing the leads. So I'm kind of doing the opposite here, opening up the filter and stuff. Only thing I'm doing here is I'm actually also reducing the volume right before the drop here, because else it would have been too much here right before the drop, and this way it just creates a bit more impact when the drop hits. So then the bass line, I'm just fading this one out with a basic volume automation here in the last 2 bars of the build up. And then the chords, I'm also fading those out using a basic volume automation. So that's already pretty much it with break and build up. So pretty straightforward. So let's check out what the drop sounds like. First of all, let me show you the leads, because we have them at the top. So the lead solo leads sound like that. They sound very kind of warm, beautiful. Kind of, we have a lot of string sounds, like the sound is kind of based on a string with, like, you know, the superstar-ish character. So we have this layer. That's basically the flex strings. We got this one. This one. I think this is actually also supposed to be staccato. Then we got a Nexus layer, piano, spire, another spire. So this one is like the big superstar, it's really wide, adds that energy. Then we got another flex. This is actually a trumpet. This one adds a bit more body to all of the layers. So again, all of them together. Let's have a look at the processing real quick. So what I did here, I pretty much boosted the higher mids and top end a bit. So I felt like that was lacking without the EQing. So again, here it's always about listening how your leads come out of the synth, how they sound, the sample or whatever you're using. And then reference a lot to other tracks. Maybe also take a look at an analyzer like Span when you're referencing, because this usually shows you maybe what's really missing or what's maybe too much, and then you can adjust that with some EQing. Then here we got the famous low and high cut that you have on like every channel, 16K hertz high cut, low cut is at 220 hertz here in this case. We got the filter for automation, then the P controller that I always use for the reverb. So I explained this technique in like every video I do, so I'm not gonna do it now. Here are some settings. Low cut is set to 800 hertz. So when you have reverb, especially on leads, I will make sure that you get rid of some of the lows in the reverb, because else it's too muddy. This cleans it up a bit. High cut, 10K hertz. Then decay time is set to 5 seconds, which is a lot. But I really wanted to have this long sort of, I felt like this gave it so much depth, especially when the drop ends and the leads stop playing. You have this really long decay, which really helps also transition to the second break. Yeah, then just a stereo enhancer to widen up the leads a little bit, and some sidechain here, the first preset at 50%. That's it with the lead processing. Let's check out how I made the bass line. So the bass line is kind of, the sub bass, it looks kind of complicated. But it's not actually as complicated as it looks. So for the sub bass I got 4 3x oscillators, and the sub bass sounds like that. So they're all essentially playing sine waves. The thing was though, we're kind of playing a big range here with the notes. So we have D4, and then we're going down to F3, which is like almost 1 octave lower. So it was kind of difficult to get the balance right here, because the higher you go, the louder the sine or the bass will appear. So I was trying to like make sure that I always have the right kind, not only volume, it's also like the lower you go, the more you want to have also of the upper frequency. So if you take a look at span, you see those harmonics, right? And as you can see now, the lower the bass goes, the more you want the upper harmonics to be present, because that will make the bass appear a bit bigger. And that's what I'm basically doing here. So the second oscillator is just playing D4 an octave higher to add that harmony there. Then I have this one taking care only of the rest of the notes. So this allowed me to set the volume for these differently. And then I have one more which also plays all notes. And this one is, I don't know, which octave is it? It's sitting almost 2 octaves higher than the root sub bass. So yeah, these are kind of adding the harmonies, and then this is the main low sub bass. But then we have 2 mid bass layers as well. This one's from Spire. It's like this really resonance type of talk kind of bass. And then we have a superstar type of bass. So that's pretty much it. So on the sub bass, I have some EQ in here, like that. I'm just, you know, high cutting above, like, what is it, 400 hertz or something. I'm rolling off those frequencies a bit in order to make sure that the lower ones are a bit more present. And then I have a second EQ here where I just increased that 85 hertz by 3 dBs. Then just fruity balance for the volume and the sidechain here, gross beat, like that. Then for the mid basses, I have this EQ on, so I reduced 145, 148 hertz here a tiny bit, boosted the top end here to kind of add a bit more presence to the mid bass and the overall mix. Then I rolled off here those 100, 200 hertz a bit to make sure the bass isn't that muddy, because usually like the frequencies from like 100 to 400, 500 hertz cause muddiness. So I kind of took those out a bit, as we're also having the harmonies and the sub bass taken over or taken up this bass here. So then yeah, this is again just like low pass filter automation. Then we got gross beat here. This is adding a little bit of that gated effect to the mid bass, or it's enhancing it. Then we got sidechain here. For this I'm using kickstart here, this one at 90%, and some enter smile, which I'm probably using for the build up, I believe. Basically just for like automation. So yeah, that's it with the bass line. Now let me add in the kick drum. So I have a separate top kick, and then separate bass kick. Hi-hats here, which I'm panning left and right, so it's going like adding a bit of movement here. And now, as you can tell, with the kick, the bass and the leads, we kind of already have 80% of the drop. Now obviously what was missing is the chords. So we have this piano. So it's doing like this dun 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 rhythm. Then we have the saw pad. I think it's the same one from the break. So here it's just a bit of EQing like that to sort of shape the sound and make it sit right in the mix. With the piano, let's see what I did there. rolling off the lows here a bit, around like 100 Hertz, and then adding this dip at 700 Hertz. I felt like that was a bit too much. Then we have stereo enhancer to actually make it less wide, the piano. Then we have again the filter automation, peak controller, and reverb here. So here's pretty much the same, just like low cut, increasing that one a bit. High cut is quite low actually, and then decay time set to 2.8 seconds here on the piano. And we got the sidechain here, this preset at 80%. Let's check it out again. The kick, chords, and the hi-hat and bass and leads. So again, now we got like 80-85%. Now it's just about adding a bit more of those ambient sounds to add some harmony. And just like something in the background, as well as some more drums like rides, claps, crashes, and some downlifters. So let's check these out. Also got this one, which I'm sort of repeating all the time. And then on the second half of the drop, I'm adding some type of tom. And we also got these fills. The break up. Then in the middle of the drop, we have some more drums and snares. Another pre-shifted clap, the Mesto clap, and a shaker. And that's pretty much it with the drop. So also drop isn't too complicated, I would say. Yeah, that's actually everything for the drop. So let's go. Let's check out the second break. So here at the beginning of the second break, I'm having this violin type of sound, which sounds like this. It's actually a marimba that we got here, layered with this violin. And this one is actually muted. And then we have this one here as well, which is the piano. And if you take a closer listen to, I believe it's the violin. Yeah. You can also see here, if you take a look at this knob, I'm automating the panning of this sound. So I thought this adds a bit more detail here to the sound. And then what I'm also doing is I have this low pass filter and volume automation to fade those sounds out, because they're only playing in those 8 bars here. And what you can also hear is when I'm closing those sounds down here, I mean the filter, when I close the filter down, I'm opening up the filter of the pad here, of the saw chord. Then I also have this additional pad on the second break, which is from Nexus, this one. Just added some additional ambience in the background. But yeah, I'm then closing down again the filter of the synth pad because I have the vocal chops coming in again. So you know most of the sounds here now from the first break. You know, we have the vocal chops again, we have the gated bass line again, the synth pad and stuff, the other ambient sounds. Only difference here is that I'm adding this kick drum as well as this clap. I'm also automating these with a volume automation, so I'm basically fading them in. And I'm just keeping this, or adding this kind of flow to the second break, really, to sort of keep the flow up in the track to make the second break different from the first break. Then that's pretty much it here with the second break, and then we drop into second build up. Wait, I actually forgot to show you one sound. Actually, it's more than one sound here at the bottom of the project file. We have additional strings here. I'm not using these on the first break. I'm also introducing these using a volume automation and a filter automation. So yeah, these kind of make the second break really epic. They're not too obvious, they're also just in the background, but they help to add something to the second break. Then during the build up, I'm like looping these up to like keep them on one chord, and then also just reducing the volume. And then I have these additional staccato strings. Yeah, these two sounds have really helped to add that epic type of vibe to the second break, to make it really emotional. And also here with the staccato string, you can tell, or you can see that I have the volume automated. So at the start it's quiet, and then it's getting louder. And then I also have the panning automated here as well. So here at the start you can see it's actually being panned to one side. Now it's going over to the other side. Then here going back to the other side, and then going back to the center here during the build up. This again just adds more detail to the mix, to the second break. So for this staccato string, let me show which one I used here. It's actually also the flex staccato strings. So then let's check out the second build up. The difference here to the first build up is that I'm keeping it on one chord / one bass note. So I have the bass line playing the first bass note, the chord playing the first chord basically. I'm just looping these up, and then again fading them out with like the volume automation stuff that I already showed you during the before, like for the first build up. And then let me show you, is there anything else? I think the sub riser, I don't have this one on the first build up. Yeah. So then back into the second drop, which is basically the same as the first drop. I think there's nothing new. Only difference is I'm starting the first drop with those additional master claps, and I think that's pretty much it. So yeah, that's it with the track. As you can see, I would say it's a simple project file. There's not a whole lot in this track. So again, keep your project files simple. Don't add too many sounds. Keep it simple. And so yeah, I hope you could learn something from this project walkthrough, or that it inspired you to work on your own music or tracks, whatever. Make sure to leave a comment with your feedback. Make sure to hit that thumbs up button if you like the video. Subscribe if you haven't already. Also, make sure to check out the Backlit label, my own label. We'll actually drop the second release very soon from another artist. I will announce that artist soon, so stay tuned. And bye-bye.